Why do you believe that we still have this conversation of, why don't you want to get married? Why do you want to get married?
Since time immemorial, through the religions, cultures, different societies, marriage has been the core of the community. It gives structure. Within marriage is where it's best placed to actually raise children, and people in marriage have this companionship. They're able to do life together because marriage requires commitment.
When it comes to what she said about having two parents and it's better for the kids and it's proven that it's good for them, I'd actually say, and from the research I've done, that it is not a direct study that says having two parents means you have a good kid. There are other factors that come into parenting which still have to be acknowledged. It can't come to simply how many parents are there in that situation. There are economic factors, there are social factors that would contribute to how this child turns out. So it's not a clear line.
When I look at when we were growing up, I think the expectations in the marriage space is very different, or was very different from the expectations today. When I was growing up, for instance, it was almost automatic that after you finished your tertiary education, that the next thing people expected you to do is to actually get married. But that conversation has changed because the Gen Zs, as it were today, are more concerned about other factors like stability in life.
I feel like traditionally, being a millennial myself, we've been brought to really just take a box, get married at some age, finish school, get married, get kids. Mm-hmm. And people will ask you after you finish college, so are you married? When are you getting married? You marry, where's the baby? Where's the second? Where's the third? It's like a checkbox that you have to tick and tick and tick and tick and tick. And that's changing. And sometimes people have been caught up in that trap where you marry just because society wanted you to marry, and then you found yourself in some unsafe situation.
When you talk about a partnership is a partnership, on paper. I think a marriage is the only certificate you get without education, or without having to do an exam, or without having to do even background checks. But like in real life, would we want to say it's as smooth as we want to put it?
Do you realize we've been in a conversation on marriage for perhaps the last 30 minutes or so, but there's nowhere love has been mentioned, or at least I've not heard it.
People who are in love in the room, please. You are allowed to echo.
Perhaps are we thinking of how this narrative has changed, because previously you're in love, get married, but perhaps the generation is showing us that really has changed from that. And maybe even what I've heard from the panelists who have already spoken, there's no really one person or generation that is saying we're against marriage or we are pro-marriage. What they're saying is certain things need to be in place for marriage to work. And I want to agree on that.
To want to be happily married is to know that you're going to live with a person who is completely different from you, a person who believes in different things, subscribes sometimes to things that you might not be aware of. The unfortunate part is that when you're dating, a lot of times when you're dating and then you get married, the person you were dating and the person you get married to are completely different. So you're lucky if the person you're dating is still the person you're gonna meet in the marriage.
People always assume that if you started very well, there's this word people like to say, we were compatible. No one is compatible. From our own experience, we've been helping couples for a long time. We've been married 20 years. I can tell you for sure there are no compatible people. Everybody marries the wrong person. She's quite introverted, I'm very extroverted.
How do you make her the right person? How do you make that person the right person?
So that is a choice. So I believe there's something that we call a frame. A frame decides your focus. And so if you frame this person as your person that you're being committed to, you start to see them differently.
Me, as a Gen Z, I believe marriage favors and benefits men. Okay? We can have that as a foundation. Like, even the Bible says, when a man finds a woman, they find a good thing, a beautiful thing. Why doesn't the Bible say when a woman finds a man, they find a beautiful thing? It's not there. Please be very cautious. So, me as a woman, why would I want to enter a union where the guy is not financially stable? We say a man is to money as a woman is to beauty.
I'd rather have us looking for a perfect than settle on their imperfects. I rather you have a goal, a standard. Let that be your perfect. I genuinely rather have. For your safety, I rather have that than have you compromising on certain things that shouldn't be compromised. So you ask yourself, for your daughter, for your child, would you rather them have a standard that is perfect for them than go into it willing to compromise because you told them the perfect person doesn't exist?